And now, hello and thank you for joining us for Lunchtime News here on KBC Channel 1. We are live from the Broadcasting House in Kenya's capital, Nairobi. My name is Giverson, Maina, and our sign language interpreter is Ann Wangeshi. Join us for the next 1 hour for news within, of course, across the country. Plus, start interacting with our social media platforms at KBC Channel 1, and mine is at Giverson Maina. And so let's get started straight to news. And now, President William Ruto has called for a long-term national development vision that transcends political administrations and election cycles, saying Kenya's future should be shaped by deliberate planning rather than short-term political interests. Now, speaking in a special address from State House, Nairobi, on Thursday evening, the head of state acknowledged that Kenya is unlikely to achieve one of key targets of Vision 2030, saying the country is still far from attaining upper middle income status as envisioned under the current National Development Blueprint. Is our reporter Abdiaziz Hashim with the details.
With barely 4 years remaining to the conclusion of the Vision 2030 target,
we can, we must, and we shall together get it right this time round.
President William Ruto gave an assessment Thursday evening at State House, Nairobi, on the said blueprint that the country has been using for years now.
Others may never remember even this conversation, but they will live in the Kenya we choose to build.
The president now calls for a new national development structure that is enshrined in the Constitution.
The next chapter of our national transformation journey is to operationalize the Constitution's development charter.
Ruto noting that he will kickstart a national conversation on Kenya's long-term development agenda beyond Vision 2030.
On Wednesday, the 12th of August, 2026, we shall formally launch a national conversation on Kenya's future beyond Vision 2030, the most consequential exercise in national reflection and public participation since the promulgation of our Constitution in 2010.
Ruto stating that he is seeking to shift national planning away from government manifestos and towards a constitutional blueprint that will survive elections and successive administrations.
Until we do so, our development and progress will remain subject to the ebb and flow of political expediency, changing priorities, competing interpretations, and fluid guesswork.
The president urged the country to learn from nations such as South Korea, China and Vietnam, which transformed their economies through long-term planning and structural reforms, while Kenya missed similar opportunities.
Last week, I had the honor of receiving their proposals on strategic guidelines for Kenya's long-term national transformation. The thrust of their proposal is both ambitious but also achievable.
Abdiaziz Hashim for Lunchtime News.
And away from that, the Deputy Inspector General of Police, Gilbert Masengeli, has challenged police recruits currently undergoing training at the National Police College in Embakasi to observe strict discipline and also embrace their various talents, noting natural abilities can enhance performance in many areas. Now, speaking during the closing ceremony of the Administration Police Service Recruits Sports Day, Masengeli stressed that discipline remains key to success for the officers aspiring to represent the country and sporting activities locally and even abroad.
The Deputy Inspector General of Police Administration Police Service, Gilbert Masengeli, and retired Senior Assistant Inspector General of Police, Omar Shuria, were among top APS commanders to join the Administration Police Service Recruit Sports Day event at the National Police College in Embakasi, a campus in Nairobi County.
Somebody is not serviceable, cannot do that job. When we are training fieldcraft and tactics, the first preparation is preparation for attack. Yes, why are we doing that? To check the serviceability of the officers and the storage and equipment. So if somebody is not serviceable, cannot do anything. Dash down, crawl, observe, set, and fire. You can do that. So we need a service of men and women.
The occasion featured exciting competitions in athletics, volleyball, bodybuilding, among others, with winners awarded. It was here that the DIG of Administration Police Service, Gilbert Masengeli, challenged police recruits currently undergoing training at the National Police College in Embakasi, a campus, to observe strict discipline and take care of their mental health.
You have demonstrated a remarkable energy, resilience, and sportsmanship through every race, match, and competition. And display of talent, you have shown that physical fitness and mental strength go hand in hand in preparing officer for the responsibilities that lies ahead.
Masengeli noted that discipline remains key to success for the officers aspiring to represent the country in sporting activities locally and abroad.
We are training here so that as you graduate in the sporting event today, you graduate to serve the National Police Service. You graduate to represent the National Police Service and represent our country both locally and internationally.
The DIG said event reaffirmed the service commitment to holistic training by nurturing not only professionally competence but also physically fit and well-rounded officers.
To be talented is one thing. To win is another thing. But to remain there, it calls for discipline. Am I communicating?
Yes, sir. SACCO, we want to pledge our support to Administration Police Service. We want you to know that we are here for you, even as you play, even as you do your sports, each and every time, not just this year, even in the years to come. We want you to know that we are here to support you. We are happy to support you in every kind of way.
Be able to facilitate their future and for the future of their kids. At Madison, we educate, we encourage, and we advise them wisely.
And now, a section of women leaders drawn from various parts of the country is demanding an immediate apology from the Democracy for Citizens Party leader Rigathi Gachagua over what they describe as derogatory remarks targeting women leaders. Now, the leaders accuse the former DP of veering off from the issue-based politics to sexist and personal attacks, warning such rhetorics could undermine women's leadership. Now, their dignity and participation in politics. The leaders have, at the same time, challenged National Cohesion and Integration Commission, NCC, to launch a probe into the matter.
The sentiment by the DCP leader Rigathi Gachagua, allegedly launching a verbal attack against UDA allied women leaders following the recently concluded Okalau by-election, have drawn sharp criticism from a section of women leaders in Nairobi. Speaking under the umbrella of the Diamond Peace Caravan, the women on Friday condemned Gachagua's remarks, terming them an onslaught of women's leadership and their dignity.
Especially mtu akienda kusimama pale mbele asimame na maneno yake ya kuomba siasa na kuomba kura zake si za wamama. Atumejipaka umefanya nini? Sisi kutukana venye unafikiria. Atunaambia mama wafanye nini? Ile uliwaambia wewe utafanya hiyo. Mama sio nini yako. Sio mpira yako ya kucheza nayo. Ukikisikia ni kwa kiwanja unawaekelea kiwanja wanacheza. We are very sorry for you.
Kwa hivyo akome na aombe msamaha kwa kudunisha mama. Mama ni mama, hakuna kama mama.
In their rejoinder to the former deputy president's sentiments, the leaders have challenged Gachagua to issue an immediate and unconditional apology to all women.
Wakati walikuwa wameenda kufanya kampeni huko Olikalau, ati walikuwa wameenda kuweka miniskirt, kujipondoa na kwenda kujionyesha kwa wamama. Hiyo matamshi ni mabaya sana. Kwa hivyo tuna demand msamaha kutoka kwako.
Hatutaki mtu adharau our governor Anne Waiguru. She's a woman of potential. She's a good leader. Na tumeona bila anafanya kazi.
Warning that failure to retract his words would trigger nationwide peaceful demonstrations to demand accountability.
Bila hivyo hivyo, sisi wamama tutamkuta mahali yako. Mpaka tumwambie aombe msamaha. Kwa sababu sisi Kenya yetu inataka two thirds gender. Na vile wamama tumefanya kazi kubwa ya kuinua wamama, wengine wanataka kuwagandamisha.
The women further challenged relevant institutions, including the NCIC, to take a firm and decisive action against Gachagua, saying continued verbal attacks against women leaders risk suppressing their voices and discouraging their participation ahead of the 2027 general elections.
The coming general election, hatutakubali intimidation ya wamama. And we are here to stand as women so that we aspire for so many seats in this government.
Mama na waomba viongozi msiwekwe uoga. Chukueni viti zenu. Nasi tuko nyuma yenu. Asa tunataka Anne Waiguru awe deputy president. Yeye anatosha kuwa deputy president.
John Kahiro for Lunchtime News.
Now, urgent and coordinated action is needed to address Nairobi's recurring flooding, with a new report warning that the crisis extends far beyond heavy rainfall. Now, the report by the World Resources Institute links the city's persistent floods to poor urban planning, inadequate drainage systems, unplanned development, and the degradation of wetlands. Now, the report paints a grim picture of the impact, revealing that nearly 21,000 families were displaced last year alone, while floods claimed 37 lives in March this year alone. Now, the report now calls for long-term investments in urban resilience and disaster risk reduction to protect lives and livelihoods.
By integrating river restoration and ecological resilience, this framework aims to reduce flood impacts, enhance biodiversity, and improve urban livability.
We are training about 5,000 people around the rivers. That translates to around 25,000 people who will benefit from this. That translates to the people who will be averted from floods. If they follow what we are putting in the framework, then we are likely to save around 25,000 people. That will be as a mitigation measure.
Well, this is the biggest challenge, that it's so often when we see floods, we think it's a lot of rain that has come. No, what we are finding in the research is that it is not so much that we have a lot of rain, it is where we are building. We have a lot more solid surfaces in places where we should have wetlands, in places where we have our forests. You all know today that we are trying to still protect Ngong Forest, Karura Forest. All of these are critical ecosystems.
Now, engineers have been challenged to embrace innovation and resource efficiency as key drivers of sustainable development. Now, this was the focus of the second African Journal of Engineering Research and Innovation Scientific Conference at Kenyatta University. Now, the chairperson of the caretaker committee of the Institution of Engineers of Kenya, Engineer Hilary Nyanga, challenged engineers to move beyond traditional approaches by designing products and infrastructure that are durable, reusable, and resource efficient. He also called for greater involvement of engineers in economic planning and policy development to ensure infrastructure investments deliver long-term value while conserving natural resources.
Engineers must now help society transition towards systems that minimize waste, extend the useful life of products and the infrastructure, recover valuable materials, and use natural resources more efficiently.
The question before us is not whether we should change how we develop. Instead, the question is how can we build economies that are productive, resilient, resource efficient, and sustainable. Engineering research and innovation provides that answer.
Our university remains firmly committed to this responsibility. Through our investment in research, innovation, postgraduate training, and strategic partnerships, we continue to nurture graduates and researchers that are capable of addressing emerging societal challenges through science, technology, and innovation.
And our calls for urgent national action to address homelessness took center stage at the National Conference on a State of Homelessness and Street Connectedness in Nairobi. Our leaders from government, county governments, and civil society, and even the private sector agreed that homelessness must be treated as a constitutional governance and social justice issue, not merely a housing challenge. Now, an Undugu Society of Kenya Executive Director Eric Mukoya urged the country to adopt people-centered development, saying homelessness is about humanity, dignity, and even belonging, and that no one should be left out without a place to call home. Kenya is estimated to have about 500,000 people experiencing homelessness, a reality that experts said underscores the need for coordinated long-term solutions that protect the dignity and rights of the country's most vulnerable populations.
And those clear policy positions must be translated into coordinated action. Now that we have devolved governments, 47 of them, and the central government, it will take coordination so that these activities are cascaded to the devolved regions. And as we have all agreed, it is not for the government alone. What will private sector do? What will non-governmental organizations do? And I hold the view that if we work in concert, we will resolve this problem.
Into programs that do not necessarily ensure sustainability. And therefore, from the Council's perspective, as the Council of Governors, we have onboarded the inclusion agenda. The homeless agenda, that is a new discussion now, that from where we sit now, we must then also embed it as a conversation on how we can be able to go beyond the conversation about affordable housing.
First solution is, can we build partnerships with county governments that enjoy the devolved function? With or without resources, there's a chance for having conversation in a room that will bring this agenda on the table. Number two, are we able to put resources together and say that homelessness is not a condition, it is a failure of priorities. We have policies, we have laws, we have resources.
Now, African university students are increasingly turning ideas into solutions to some of the continent's most pressing challenges. Innovators from across Africa converged for the finals of the Africa division of the China International College Students Innovation Competition. The competition launched in Africa in 2025 seeks to foster innovation, entrepreneurship, and cross-cultural collaboration among university students. Take a look.
Our model, it has combined traditional Chinese medicine and Western medicine together. And then the nice thing about it is that it doesn't come with any side effects. So it's side effects free. So what it does is that it's also cheaper compared to the chronic medication that our people in South Africa get. So in somewhat sense, it improves the public health while relieving the financial burden in South Africa.
Actually, for this competition, we want to kind of show how to become kind of entrepreneurs or how to innovate. So as we see that from last year, also from this year, we got a lot of competition. They really apply what they have learned from classroom to real world issues. Like last year, we had a kind of tomato grafting project.
Innovation is very critical because we have quite a number of challenges, and I'm sure among you are already looking at the areas of how we can improve in terms of food production, or if you like, productivity, and how we can enhance food security as well. We have an element of biotechnology, bioinformatics, biogenomics. All these will definitely require an innovative way of addressing the challenges of the society.
Now let's switch focus now to matters Western Kenya politics, where Vihiga Governor Wilbur Otichilo is urging residents of Vihiga to support the re-election of the incumbent President William Ruto in the 2027 election. Now Otichilo said the government has invested over 10 billion Kenyan shillings in development projects in Vihiga County, which have helped improve the economy of the county. Now, according to the governor, some of the projects initiated in Vihiga includes a modern Kidundu sports complex at a cost of 1 billion Kenyan shillings, roads network, more than 10 markets, among others.
Serikali yetu ambao tuko nayo sasa, kwa watu wa Vihiga tumefaidika zaidi kupita kiwango. Kwanza tuchukue kura, hiyo tutamalizia, lakini lazima tuchukue kura.
Operation with ICT. We come into your institution, we look at the services you offer, we look at the priority areas, so we prepare you to automate the priority areas where, you know, the areas, the services that the citizens need more. You know, that is where you are most likely to experience.
Women have launched, or rather, let's start again. Joyful Women have launched training programs at KBC National Polytechnic, PC Kinyanjui, and Nairobi National Polytechnic, and Kamukunji Vocational Training Institute to roll out capacity building on financial literacy and digital marketing for women and youth. Now, Chief Principal Dr. Patrick Mushemi has lauded the initiative, saying it will help program beneficiaries better run their businesses. Now, Elizabeth Kosgei, CEO Joyful Women organization, said they settled on TVET because the institutions prioritize real-world hands-on experience over purely theoretical learning, making students ready for the job market. I'm told by my director that the Law Society of Kenya is currently addressing the country. Let's go straight there and listen in.
Boycott will continue against them as we proceed. Number 5, today, 31st of July, the Law Society of Kenya Council, together with representatives of the senior bar, which is part of the Law Society of Kenya, has been meeting the Judicial Service Commission. And in those discussions, which are still ongoing, we have addressed them about the various concerns touching on accountability of the judiciary and the Judicial Service Commission. We have asked them and demanded that the Judicial Service Commission take charge of its constitutional mandate to secure accountability of the judiciary and to work to stop persistent obstruction of their work in various aspects. We've also told them our concerns about the growing corruption menace in the judiciary, the challenges of court inefficiencies, and the problems that many Kenyans who go to the courts on a daily basis are suffering and are facing because of judiciary inefficiencies. And we've asked them to commit to address these challenges immediately and without fail. Finally, we want to indicate that the Law Society of Kenya is undertaking these actions not at the behest of any particular party, but because we have listened to the cry.
And now, away from that, the Mombasa County government has ordered the immediate recruitment of 573 nurses on contract to ensure uninterrupted healthcare services following a nationwide strike called by the Kenya National Union of Nurses and Midwives. Governor Abdul Samad Sharif Nasir, who also chairs the Council of Governors Health Committee, said the move was aimed at safeguarding access to healthcare while negotiations between county governments and the Nurses Union continue. His remarks come as nurses across the counties took to the streets to pressure both governments to address their grievances, among them conservation of universal health coverage, staff to permanent and pensionable terms.
As nurses across the country kept off the hospitals and took to the streets, Mombasa Governor Abdul Swamad Nasir on Thursday evening directed the County Public Service Board to begin the recruitment process of over 500 nurses on contractual terms.
With immediate effect, 573 new nurses waweze kuajiriwa, watu waingie kazini, kwa sababu mimi najua wazi ya kwa tukitangaza nafasi ya nurse mmoja, wale wenye kuapply ni kama 1000 kadhaa. So Mombasa does not have shortage of nurses.
These, the governor says, will ensure continuity of services during the strike.
If the courts say that the strike was illegal and they're meant to come back to work, they are my employees. I will not do anything to them and I welcome them to come back. But if the courts rule otherwise, tutaangalia hapo. We will cross the bridge when we get there.
Meanwhile, health workers in Lamu County took to the streets demanding action from the government. The health workers also said that 6 laboratories in Lamu County have been forced to close due to a shortage of laboratory personnel, a situation they say is undermining the delivery of healthcare services. The health workers also said that 6 laboratories in Lamu County have been forced to close due to a shortage of laboratory personnel, a situation they say is undermining service delivery.
Currently, tuko na maabara 6 ambayo yamefungwa kaunti ya Lamu. Badala ya kaunti ya Lamu ilete afya kwa wananchi, inaondoa afya kwa wananchi.
Tuelewi ni kwa nini imefika wakati contract ya UHC imeisha, ndio wakakuja na mambo ya grant na dora yote imewekwa pamoja. Counties za Council of Governors wamesimama upande huu, Ministry of Health wako hii upande ingine.
Their counterparts in Tana River County, who are also taking part in the strike, maintain they will not go back to work until their demands are met.
Wauguzi wamevumilia sana tangu ya ule mkataba ambao tulifanya na serikali kuu na serikali za county mwaka wa 2017. Jambo la pili ni kuhusiana na hawa UHC staff. Tumeona malumbano kati ya kitengo kile cha national government na kitengo cha county wakifanya malumbano kuhusiana na kutaka kwamba wasiwapatie mabarua wenzetu.
With clinical officers and laboratory technicians also on strike, residents of Turkana County were left stranded. At Lodwar Referral Hospital, that also caters for patients from Uganda, South Sudan and Ethiopia, patients were forced to seek services at private hospitals.
Nimekuja hapa kwa sababu ya dadangu ambaye aliadmitiwa Ijumaa iliyopita na akawa anaugua ugonjwa wa TB, na kulingana na hali yake imesidi kuwa mbaya, na nikaambia na madaktari leo anafaa ahamishwe apelekwe kwenye chumba cha wagonjwa mahututi ama ICU, lakini kwa sababu ya mgomo ambayo inaendelea leo Kenya hii imeshindikana.
Kwa nje ya madaktari kugoma imeshindikana, hata vile ataandikishwa karatasi ya kumrefer Eldoret. Sasa mgonjwa kwa hali hatarini.
Madaktari ndio guso wetu, ndio wanaweza kutusaidia. Wapewa haki yao, maana haki yao ndio wanadai.
In Tharaka constituency of Tharaka Nithi County, nurses staged demonstrations in Marimanti town.
Kwa sababu tumefanya maridhiano na kila kitu katika huu mkataba tumesikizana, ile imebaki ni kutia sahihi.
Tumeng'ang'ana na promotions kwa miaka mingi sana. Mara tunapatiwa kadogo, watu wengine wanabaki nyuma, wameachwa wamekaazirika.
In Samburu County, the script was the same, with health services remaining under paralysis. Angry nurses took to the streets of Maralal town, calling for the implementation of the 2017 CBA.
Nurses, I think we have seen now what is happening in the hospital. Total shutdown, meaning that we are the backbone of the hospital.
Tumefanya mikutano na tumehakikisha kwamba tutalinda haki ya wagonjwa wetu kulingana na katiba.
Nancy Okware, Lunchtime News.
Another story takes us to a very short commercial break. Don't go too far. There's still so much more coming your way.
time for retirement.
Kwani mimi ni mzee? I'm still young and I've got plenty of time to start saving later. Then again, si watu wa jua kali, hatunanga hizo ma pension plans.
Kwani ujui unaweza register with an individual pension plan yenye iko regulated na RBA?
Inawakaje?
Una deposit any amount of money at any time na uko guaranteed ukikuwa mzee. Maisha yako itakuwa nywe.
Badala na kushoni ukweli. Hadi mimi boost savings zangu kwa scheme yetu ya job.
Really?
Nilijua siwezi kuwa kijana forever. Sis, usikose kujipanga mapema. Tutakuwa wazee wa maana.
Ebu nionyesheni kuwa mzee wa maana.
Ensure you save and plan for your retirement during your youthful working days. Provided you are earning an income, you can join a retirement benefit scheme registered by Retirement Benefits Authority and safeguard your tomorrow. RBA, safeguarding your retirement benefits.
Everything you know is a fragment of a story.
We only see the outer shell of facts and happenings through a time period of change in policies, regimes, traditions, and climate. We explore the moment that shaped our present and built our identity.
Legacies, stories behind iconic figures, landmarks, folktales, and myths, linking the past to the present. Experience a journey through time in the history of our country. Know your history every Friday at 9 p.m. on KBC Channel 1.
Now we have a corner from Kusi here in the Ghanaian side. Now this is a real opportunity to test the defense of Cape Verde. Are we going to see a second goal being scored? That was comfortably saved by the goalkeeper, by Jacinta. We can see the replay again. Jacinta saving Cape Verde's side again from conceding a second goal.
And I welcome back. You're watching Lunchtime News on KBC Channel 1. Now, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, EACC, has recovered 2 government properties in Kwale and Mombasa valued at 100 million shillings irregularly allocated to private entities. The properties included a beach access road reserve in Diani and a government house in Kizingo, Mombasa. Now, speaking during the handing over ceremony of the public facilities to Kwale County Government, EACC CEO Abdi Mohamed said the court verdict marked another significant milestone in the Commission's effort to recover illegally acquired public assets and protect public properties from unlawful acquisition.
Ardhi kama hii inafaidi wale ambayo hawana uwezo wa kwenda kwa hizi hoteli kubwa kubwa. Kwa hivyo sisi ni kuambia gavana na watu wake waitumie hii ardhi kwa niaba, wapeane kwa watu wa Kwale ile ambayo iwasaidie.
Sisi leo tuna furaha. Yaani hii ni achievement kubwa. Na unajua hii pia inatuma message kwa wale wengine wote ambao wamegrab. Sasa hii tayari ni notice kwao. Kama mtu anajijua alipata ardhi kinyume na sheria, afadhali aanze kufunganya mapema.
Now from the Coast Region to Kakamega County now, where patients drawn from Kakamega County and the neighboring region have benefited from a week-long free surgical outreach program at the Kakamega County Referral Hospital. The initiative brought together local and international medical specialists to provide life-changing surgeries for patients suffering from chronic conditions. Speaking during a visit to some of the patients at Kakamega Hospital, Governor Fernandez Baraza said the program brought together 30 medical specialists from United States. The initiative was led by Dr. Ian Otinga, who worked alongside 106 healthcare professionals from Kakamega County.
We have been having a team of doctors from the US, 30 of them are specialists, led by one of our own, Dr. Ian Otinga. And I'm happy to report that for the last 2 weeks, we've had over 150 surgeries, which have been very successful.
Jana nimefanyiwa operation ambayo ilifaulu. So nimekuwa jana hapa, leo nimekuwa discharged. So ninarudi nyumbani.
Now, an initiative which seeks to recognize outstanding young environmental innovators whose ideas are transforming communities through practical environmental solutions has been launched in Nairobi. Now, speaking during the launch of the fourth cohort of the Young Environmental Innovation Challenge, Kenya Community Development Foundation Executive Director Grace Maingi said the initiative is targeting young innovators aged between 15 and 35 years whose ideas address environmental conservation while creating jobs and improving livelihoods. Now, stakeholders at the launch further spoke of the need to give young innovators a platform not only to develop homegrown environmental solutions, but also to turn their ideas into sustainable business capable of creating jobs and driving Kenya's green economy.
So there are various challenges that the innovations are solving. Some are around food waste, others are around plastic waste, others are around the cutting of trees, and also challenges in terms of carbon emissions. And so the innovators that we have been able to award today are going to be able to scale up their innovations. We hope that they'll be able to move beyond the counties that they're in.
And we are really looking at how youth can be involved in solving the challenges, environmental challenges that we face today. So this partnership with KCDF seeks to really promote this particular initiative.
Yeah, today's innovation challenge is very critical because as young people from different counties, we have the ideas, we have verified products, we have the market, but now what we lack is business support and capital to allow our product to scale in terms of the market. So.
Now back to Kakamega once more, where residents of Malava constituency in Kakamega County are set to benefit from improved healthcare services after the national government allocated 50 million shillings to rehabilitate and upgrade Malava Level 4 Hospital. The project is expected to enhance service delivery and expand access to quality healthcare once completed later this year. Now, speaking during the launch of the project, Kakamega Governor Fernandez Baraza said the funding reflects the government's commitment to strengthening healthcare services.
Hizo pesa ambazo tumepokea shilingi milioni 50, tunashirikiana na kuhakikisha pia level 6 imekamilika kule Kakamega. Vile mnajua hiyo level 6 ilikuwa ni shimo kubwa sana ambayo ilikuwa imewachwa pale na gavana mtangulizi. Aliweka pale 2.6 billion, lakini kwa sababu tunashirikiana na William Ruto, hiyo kazi inaweza kukamilika kabla ya mwisho mwaka huu.
Now, youth have been challenged to exercise caution when seeking job opportunities abroad. This comes in the wake of statistics that reveal more than 2,000 Kenyans have had to be evacuated from diaspora countries after falling victim to human trafficking rings. Now, this message dominated the commemoration of the 2026 World Day Against Trafficking in Persons held in Cheptais, Mount Elgon in Bungoma County. Now, speaking during the event, Principal Secretary for Children's Services Karen Angengo and Ambassador Helen Gishugi revealed that Cheptais in Bungoma bears the heaviest burden of illegal recruitment activities in the country, prompting the commemoration of the day in the region to raise awareness. Statistics show that since 2021, 470 Kenyans have been evacuated from the Golden Triangle countries, 478 from South Africa, over 200 from Lebanon and Israel, and and over 700 from South Sudan.
This area particularly has registered so many cases in the past year where many of the youth from this area have been trafficked, and we only realize when they're outside the country seeking support to come back.
Have evacuated over 470. Over 470 have been brought back. If we talk about South Africa, just the other day we evacuated 478, I believe, have been able to come back. If you're talking about there was a problem in Lebanon, Israel, we were able to evacuate around 78, with others coming a bit later on.
Now it's time for business. The government is reviewing the industrialization policy to allow manufacturers procure electricity directly from power producers in a move aimed at lowering energy costs and making Kenya a more competitive investment destination. Now, Industry Principal Secretary Dr. Juma Mukwana says the availability and cost of electricity are among key issues that investors consider.
Currently, Kenya Power is the only institution mandated to distribute electricity to consumers.
Our cost of energy is quite high, and we are already talking to IBRA and to others where we can get either a national auction of power, so that we only buy power from the cheapest sources before if you're expensive, then we leave you out.
However, the proposed policy will allow investors to access electricity directly from producers to lower production costs and boost local manufacturing and anchor generation of own power using renewable energy sources such as solar and wind. Dr. Mukwana says policies that have contributed to high industrial energy costs are being reviewed.
Through this policy to see how we can harmonize collection of fees from people who want to establish industries, so that we don't make it too expensive compared to our neighbors, because if you go to our neighbors, they don't have those levels of government.
The chairperson of the County Executive Members Caucus, Leah Mariam, called for reforms to eliminate double taxation and reduce costly business permits and levies.
When it comes to permits, there are some permits that are expensive to our traders or our investors. There is also double taxations in terms of cess and distribution. This one affects the investors and traders.
National government has already given 250 million to 34 counties. And this year, we apart from funding the ones that are ongoing, we have also started a process of buying equipment.
For Lunchtime News, I'm Ben Troinjua.
And our plans are underway to allocate 2 billion Kenyan shillings for settling outstanding debts in the coffee subsector. Now, Cooperatives Cabinet Secretary Wycliffe Oparanya says debts owed by coffee farmers to government agencies have been cleared, with the new funding targeting repayment of remaining commercial loans. Here's more.
The government allocated 2 billion shillings for settling part of the outstanding 6.8 billion shillings loans owed by coffee farmers. Cooperative Cabinet Secretary Wycliffe Oparanya says an additional 2 billion shillings will be allocated for paying off commercial loans advanced to coffee farmers.
And we are hopeful that in the supplementary of this year, we will put another 2.8 billion to clear that. And now we are saying that's the last time the government is going to write debts in this particular sector.
Oparanya says the cooperative bill of 2024 will regulate borrowing by SACCOs and increase farmers' participation in the running of cooperatives to reduce fraud and mismanagement.
What the government is doing is that it has now streamlined the way of now, if cooperative have to borrow, is now a proper procedure that has been followed, so that we know if they are borrowing genuinely for a particular purpose.
The cooperative bill of 2024 is also expected to institute changes in composition and appointment of the management team to promote accountability.
Debts that are in this industry were just created by the management within the cooperative movement. Careless decisions being made, putting burden of being debts to the farmers.
Government alone cannot do everything. So we need all stakeholders on board, and private sector is a key player that we need to make sure that we are working with.
There was an investment you need on FAO that you're working on.
Benson Drioba reporting for Lunchtime News.
Now, building a sustainable future starting from the soil. Now, young students in Burkina Faso are discovering modern farming techniques through a joint initiative with agricultural experts. Now, from learning vegetable crop management to planting their own gardens. Now, the students are gaining essential skills to boost local production and drive food sovereignty. Here are the details of these and other stories making headlines across the border.
The Agricultural Technical Assistant Team has provided Burkina Faso practical farming training and donated agricultural supplies to young participants attending an international cultural exchange and community service camp. About 100 Burkinab secondary school and university students participated in the international camp for cultural exchange, reforestation, and community action. Following this training, the Agricultural Technical Assistant Team has provided participants with seeds and farming equipment. The beneficiaries were encouraged to create their own vegetable gardens and share the results of their harvests with their trainers. Meanwhile, the U.S. military has redirected 24 commercial vessels as part of its maritime blockade against Iran. The U.S. Central Command say its forces continue to enforce the blockade. In a post on social media platform X, the command said that U.S. forces had compelled 24 commercial vessels to alter their routes, disabled 2 ships, and boarded 2 others to verify compliance with the blockade. The command also said a U.S. Navy P-8 Poseidon maritime patrol aircraft, refueled by a U.S. Air Force KC-135 Stratotonka during flight, was conducting surveillance over regional waters in support of the operation. Finally, Israel has hiked the price of petrol by 8.2%, marking the highest level in nearly 14 years. The new price, up from $2.44, stands just below the record set in September 2012. By contrast, the lowest price in recent years was in May 2020. The ministry attributed the surge to continued volatility in global energy markets, citing sharp rises in international fuel prices amid higher crude oil costs and persistent supply concerns. It noted that the recent strengthening of the dollar also contributed to the rise in fuel prices in Israel. Britton Elia for Lunchtime News.
The government is enhancing distribution of certified seedlings to double BIXA production and position it as one of Kenya's next high-value commercial crops. Agriculture's Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe says the initiative will unlock thousands of jobs and utilize an idle 3,000-ton processing capacity.
Kenya BIXA Limited processes between 1,000 and 1,400 tons of raw BIXA annually, despite having the capacity to process 3,000 tons every year. Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe says the Agriculture and Food Authority and coastal counties will work together to expand production through the distribution of certified seedlings and enhanced extension services.
Alafu hawa watu wa AFA ndio wakurugenzi wa hii kitu, katika serikali ndio regulator wa BIXA, na pia wamekuja hapa ndio waone ni kitu gani tutafanya sisi kama serikali, ni kitu gani tutafanya ndio ukuzaji wa BIXA uendelee.
Kagwe is encouraging smallholder farmers to form or join BIXA cooperatives to improve their collective marketing, bargaining power and access to credit.
Ile kitu muhimu ni kuweka pesa mfuko wa mkulima. Kwa hivyo hii mkiona nikisukuma namna hii ni kujua ni kwa sababu nimeelewa ya kwamba hii inaweza saidia watu.
Increasing BIXA production is expected to create employment not only on farms but also in seed multiplication, transport, aggregation, processing and logistics. Ezekiel Owino reporting for Lunchtime News.
And now let's get sporty. Now, Harambee Starlets' hopes of reaching the quarterfinals of the 2026 Women's Africa Cup of Nations suffered a major setback after a heartbreaking 1-0 defeat to Senegal, despite hitting the woodwork 3 times in a dominant second-half display. Now, Senegal claimed all 3 points in the Group A clash at the Olympic Stadium in Rabat after Seynabou Mbengue scored the only goal in the 35th minute. Now, Kenya responded strongly after the break with Euphrasia Shilwatso rattling the crossbar before Teresa Ngesha struck the post twice as the Starlets were denied a deserved equalizer. The defeat leaves Kenya rooted at the bottom of Group A without a point and extends their winless record at the Women's Africa Cup of Nations. Beldine Odemba's side will now face Algeria in their final group match on 3rd August, hoping to end their campaign on a positive note. Tonight, South Africa take on Ivory Coast while Burkina Faso face Tanzania. Don't miss the action live on KBC Channel 1. Now, former Commonwealth champion Julius Yego failed to qualify for the men's javelin final after throwing 74.5 meters in the qualifying round, bringing to an end the campaign of one of the country's greatest field athletes. The African record holder, with a personal best of 92.72 meters, is a 2-time Africa champion and all-time Games gold medalist, having also finished 4th at the 2013 World Championships. Now, Kenya, however, enjoyed success on the track led by Teresia Modoni Gatere, who won her women's 1-mile heat in 4 minutes and 33.11 seconds to qualify for the next round. Now, Naomi Korir and Rosemary Longisa also advanced, while Lilian Odira won her women's 800 meters heat in 2 minutes and 1 minute 0.5 seconds, and Janet Chepkemoi secured qualification after finishing 3rd in her heat. In the men's triple jump, Isaac Kiroi Yego and Kevin Kimboi qualified for the final, while Kenya's hopes in the 400 meters ended after Mercy Adongo Okech, Mercy Chebet, George Mutuku and Kelvin Kiprotich Tunoe missed out on places in the respective finals.
Into a slight wind up the back straight right.
And our World Junior Cross Country champion Franklin Kibet will be making his return to the USA barely 6 months after his victory, but this time on a track as he teams up with his captain Nehemiah Kipngeno in the 500 meters, in the 5,000 meters event at the 21st World Athletics Under-20 Championships in Eugene, Oregon.
Kibet, an 18-year-old student at St. Peter's Kapkecha School in West Pokot County, has been in a scintillating form this year, having also won a silver medal over the distance in April at the Kipkeino Classic Continental Tour.
Tunafanya mazoezi, tuko sawa, ni kuenda tu, kung'ang'ana huko. Nikienda huko, naenda kung'ang'ana, pia nilete quality tena.
Kipngeno will be eyeing glory in his debut at the Global Championships as they target to retain the title won by Andrew Kiptoo Alamisi in 2024 in Peru.
Iko na improvement kidogo. Okay, kwa team tunaiona vyema, tunaitarajia mazuri sababu naona hard work na wako discipline pia. Okay, nikiestimate team ita perform good this time round because naona wote wako focus. Yeah, wako focus kwa na mazoezi.
12 boys and 11 girls will carry the Kenyan flag at the Hayward Field in Eugene, Oregon between the 5th and 9th of next month.
And joyful women have launched training programs at Kabete National Polytechnic. Now, PC Kinyanjui, Nairobi National Polytechnic and Kamukunji Vocational Training Institute to roll out capacity building on financial literacy and digital marketing for women and youth. Now, Chief Principal Dr. Patrick Moshemi has lauded the initiative, saying it will help the program beneficiaries better run their businesses. Now, Elizabeth Kosgei, a CEO of Joyful Women organization, said they settle on TVET because the institutions prioritize real-world hands-on experience of a purely theoretical learning, now making students ready for their job market.
Most of these candidates or trainees are
35 years and below. This tells you that these are the majority of our Kenyan population. And this tells you that the right people have been identified to benefit in this economy. And also, most of them, 70% are women.
They're taking training, and you might wonder who we are. Let me say we are an organization called Joyful Women Organization that has been in existence. This is our 17th year, empowering women, especially the grassroots women, those that were financially excluded and those that didn't have anything against their names.
Furahia kwanza hii nafasi ambayo tumeweza kupewa kuja kujifunza about business mali hapa Kabete. Nafurahia kwanza ya principal ameweza kutukaribisha, pia ameweza kupromote hata biashara zetu.
Now that's all for Lunchtime here on KBC Channel 1 from the Broadcasting House. And before I let you go, is just to remind you that WAFCON Eco KBC. And today we bring you a live coverage of matches between South Africa and Ivory Coast at 8 p.m. And of course, Burkina Faso will be taking on Tanzania at 11 p.m. My name is Giverson Maina. Our sign language interpreter is Anne Wangeshi. Until next time, is bye-bye for now.
Get ready for a captivating continental football extravaganza. KBC Channel 1 brings you exclusive coverage of the 2026 Women's Africa Cup of Nations, WAFCON. From Sunday the 26th of July to Sunday the 16th of August 2026. Welcome to Morocco! Morocco is the battleground as Nigeria defend their title against 15 other nations fighting to lift the prestigious trophy. Who will be crowned Queens of African Football? Courtesy of the Ministry of Youth Affairs, Creative Economy and Sports. Watch all the action unraveling on KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
We are going to separate facts from myths. We will discuss the importance of early diagnosis and genotyping. We will also hear first-hand stories of resilience from people living with this condition.
Bank on management. So this means, number one, taking the medication as Daktari has said, but also there are things you can do at home, such as our nutrition. We need to take a lot of foods high in iron phosphates. For example, mboga kienyeji. Also, you find even in rural and urban areas, we manage ourselves even with some things such as herbs. There are some herbs that truly help us even with our organs and even keeping our, like for example, iron levels high.
Preventive measures is prevent the reoccurrence of sickle cell by doing gene testing.
The gene testing,
that is
of course.
Two. One. So two, those who are already having sickle cell, they are born of sickle cell. What are these preventive measures that we want to take in place so that we reduce the chances of complications, we reduce the chances of hospitalization and recurrent infections.
You can get to see from different warriors and hear their stories, even the stories of caregivers. So I think together we can be able to achieve a lot and at least support each other.
teams are now making their way into the pitch. Minutes before the kickoff of the time of the game between Ghana and Cape Verde at 6 p.m. this afternoon in the Mulai Rashid Stadium in Casablanca. We are 1 day away from the second phase of the games in the group stage.
The Black Queens of Ghana kicked off their campaign with a 2-0 victory over 10 women Cape Verde, who were looking further to emulate the heroics of the Blue Sharks at the AFCON and FIFA World Cup, but it was not to be.
Eyes are now on Cape Verde as they make their debut in this WAFCON 2026. History is being made this evening as Ghana and Cape Verde face each other for the very first time in the Women's Africa Cup of Nations. The Ghanaian players win the back the ball brilliantly, trying to move forward. The attacker is one-on-one with the keeper, but that was goal. Such a great goal from the Ghanaian, who just opened the score here in the first ever appearance against Cape Verde. Such an organized game between the Ghanaian players. This is the first goal in this game. Now Ghana are leading the score against Cape Verde. Now with Lorca, Hugh, that was goal. What an own goal for Ghana. Now we are witnessing this second goal after a mistake from Vieira in the Cape Verdean side. That was a mistake, unfortunate mistake for Cape Verde, but the second goal now for Ghana as they're leading the score in this second half We can see the replay now.